I'll let them in. Hi, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us today. We're just going to give a few minutes to allow for others to trickle in before we get started. But we're so thankful and grateful that you took time to spend with us today to learn a little bit and also just to connect as we all work to improve our wellness. If you're new to Nina Lane Wellness or haven't connected before, I'd love to hear where you're from or see where you're from. If you wanted to pop in the chat, just say hi. Where are you popping in from? As well as, is there anything that you're curious about or what are you hoping to learn today? So chat bar at the bottom, and my amazing assistant, Tara, will be monitoring that, and we'll be checking in with it at the end of the session, but I might take a moment as we wait for others to trickle in before we get started. Thanks for sharing, Patty. Old Town. I'm not sure where that is. Thanks for joining us. And Karen from Waldheim, Saskatchewan. Sierra, Nipawin, amazing. And Saskatoon, Tristina, thank you for joining us. Almost 12:05, and then we'll get started. Patty, where is Old Town? I'm curious. Maine, amazing. Well, thank you for joining us. I think so far you get furthest distance from the event. I love how the internet can connect us all. Perfect. All right, let's get started. We'll have people joining us live as well as on the replay. And I appreciate you all for taking the time to connect with us today. So I'll just take a moment to introduce our topic and introduce myself. And just as you know, this is an event for the Next Level Wellness community. And for our guests joining us today, thank you so much. At Next Level Wellness community, as well as Nina Lane Wellness, we are committed to creating foundational wellness, to improving our health and our wellness one step at a time. And with that, we do host monthly events on relevant health topics that are not just nutrition and physical health focused, but also, can we just mute our participants? Thank you. So not just physical health, but holistic health, as it takes more than just physical health to reach our optimal wellness. And so with that, today we are focusing on our mental health, and the topic is food for thought, supporting your mental health through nutrition and lifestyle. Okay, and I am your host. I am Nina Lane, and I am the founder and owner of Nina Lane Wellness. And I have been in the wellness industry now for over a decade. I come from scientific background, academics, and have completed a master's of physiology. I spent time in pharmaceutical research, but quickly realized that I could help people better their wellness by what they do daily through their diet and lifestyle. So with that, I became a nutritional therapy practitioner and then also began to specialize in digestive and autoimmune health, but with the understanding that all areas of health are connected. And so I have a passion of helping people improve their health in all levels. And with Nina Lane Wellness, and now with the Next Level Wellness community, I am on a mission with my community, with all those that I serve, to create a foundational health movement. And so with that, that means there's no wagon, there's no perfection. It's just what can we do daily to help people take control of their wellness and to reconnect with their bodies to support lasting and optimal health. And through that, we have a focus on empowerment and education, and that is in line with what we're doing today. So we're focusing here on foundational wellness. Mental health is a very important area of health. And we're not just talking about nutrition. We're not just nutrition. We have to understand that mental health is a complex and can be a complicated topic. Same with our wellness. But we want to get to a state of not just surviving, not just existing, but where we can thrive, where we can engage life to the best of our ability. And so with that, we have to, we can take time to focus on these different areas of health and wellness that will really help us get to our optimal state. But what we need to know is that our health intersects. We can't separate mental health from our physical health. There are dynamics of both that overlap, and not one is more important than the other. Oftentimes we can, we feel like we're forcing ourselves to do things, or we get into this perfectionist all or nothing mindset, but that can actually affect affect our health in other areas, which will overall long-term reduce our health and reduce our wellness. So today we're talking about how the mental health can intersect with your physical health, how one can impact the other. And primarily we're going to focus on the nutritional aspects and physical aspects of how we can actually support our mental health. Now, if you're interested in support for your mental health, at Nina Lane Wellness, we actually do have partners that we refer to that are qualified for professional mental health support. But today we're going to focus on what you can do in your day-to-day life with your diet and nutrition, as well as your habits, to support your mental health. So I think most of us know, but what we eat has a direct impact on our health. It is our fuel. But did you know also how we eat, or the habits that we have around eating, can also impact our health? Now, just like mental health has multiple factors, so does our nutrition, okay? And we can break it down starting at the big or the macro level, okay? So our food is our fuel. And in particular, our calories, what we eat. Often we talk about in nutrition, different diets manipulate our macros, and macros are protein, carbohydrates, and fat. And so how we fuel, getting enough energy, getting the right balance of energy, and getting our individual needs of energy met is very important to our health. Have any of you, you can chat in the comments, have any of you ever tried a diet where you were either controlling the macros that you were intaking or restricting your calories on a day-to-day basis? We'll look at our chat for that. Yes, yeah. And it's very common for diets to control our macros. It's a simple way to change our body, but also to change how we fuel. Now, what's really important about this is that when we start changing or restricting, or sometimes we're not being intentional with our eating, we can find ourselves fluctuating with energy through the day, or just having low energy. And in mental health, having this low energy can be a heavy burden to bear. And so, if you're riding the energy roller coaster, we can actually look at tweaking what we're eating and how we're eating to improve our energy. So if you're feeling, apathetic or poor energy in parts of the day, but energetic in others, you might need to look at what you're eating, your macronutrients. If you're always focused on your next meal, if you're feeling anxious or sluggish, if you're finding it hard to concentrate or stay focused, if you're even finding it difficult to lose weight, or if you're constantly craving quick reward foods or stimulants like caffeine, sugar, or starchy foods, and even if you're having trouble sleeping through the night, those are signs that you may need more balance in what you're eating daily. So where are we going? The reason that you're going up and down in energy or that you're fluctuating is actually related primarily with blood sugar, okay, or can be one of the primary reasons. Blood sugar is your most simple fuel for your body. It's the easiest to burn, it's preferred, and your body will do almost anything to balance your blood sugar. And balanced blood sugar is essential for good health. Now, you might think, blood sugar issues. What does that mean? It can mean high blood sugar, it can mean low blood sugar, and it can mean riding that roller coaster up and down where we might have called dysglycemia. We might be spending a little time in low blood sugar, but we also may be spending time in high blood sugar. And what happens when we're bouncing around on that blood sugar roller coaster is that we can have drops in our energy. When our blood sugar drops, it's a physical emergency for our body, and your body will use stress hormones like cortisol to actually break down muscle to liberate energy so that we are not in a crisis mode. Now, that can be a physical stress that leads to increased cravings, but also crashes in energy. Increased cortisol can actually lead to increased anxiety or irritability as well. Have you guys ever heard the term hangriness? It's a funny term, but it's a very real struggle that many people who I work with deal with on a regular basis. Either we're skipping our meals, powering through the day on caffeine, or we're on a diet, or we're trying to restrict our carbohydrates. Those can be all reasons that we are experiencing low blood sugar. Now, elevated blood sugar is also not an ideal option for our health and for our mental health, because it can actually cause us to be in a state of inflammation. It can impact our immune system, which in a roundabout way will also impact our mental health. So if we're, oftentimes actually on the heels of low blood sugar, we'll find ourselves craving those quick reward foods, and our blood sugar can then skyrocket. And when the blood sugar skyrockets, we have to compensate, and our body will release insulin, which is a normal and healthy thing. But when it's too high, can also cause damage as well. Blood sugar itself is very damaging when it's elevated and can be associated with aging, lack of healing, and other diseases and metabolic conditions. So when we look at balancing our blood sugar, balancing our energy, we want to focus on balance of our macronutrients. Carbohydrates can lead easily to increases in blood sugar. And oftentimes in our standard Western diet, we will find that we're consuming a lot of carbohydrates for quick energy. But if we focus on a balance of healthy protein, carbohydrates, and fat, we can actually improve our energy through the day. And I see this time and time again with my one-to-one clients that I work with in nutritional consulting. They're amazed at how quickly their energy can change when they fuel their body right. Now, another component of our nutrition, we need the right energy, the calories for the balance. But when we look at our nutrition, we also have to look at the micronutrients, the nutrients we need in small amounts, but they are necessary for optimal cellular function, including our brain, our nervous system, and even the repair of any area of our body. So when we're looking at our food, we don't want to just look at calories. We also want to look at what vitamins, minerals, and phytonutrients do they contain. These are essential for our optimal brain health. Now, also, when it comes to brain health, we know that certain vitamins and minerals in particular support our mental health. So if we're struggling with low mood, anxiety, depression, there are some areas of our nutrition that we can focus on for micronutrients, including our B vitamins. They're very important for energy metabolism, but also carbohydrate metabolism. Vitamin D, I put an S there, pardon me. We get that from our sun. And so vitamin D is so important, particularly as we go into these darker months. Low vitamin D can actually be associated with what we call seasonal affective disorder, a type of mental health condition that does happen more frequently in those darker months when we're lacking the light, because the light that we get from the sun is also very stimulating for our circadian rhythms, our hormones. And when we don't get that proper light, it can impact our health in general, but also our mental health. So taking a supplement of vitamin D in balance can be very helpful for balancing our health in general. Now, when we look at other small components of nutrients, amino acids actually come from our protein, but getting a quality balance of essential amino acids is very important because they are the building blocks to help us repair our tissue in our body, but also building blocks for hormones and neurotransmitters, which can help us feel our best, not just within mental health, but within all areas of our health. So quality protein gives us the essential amino acids that we need to create those neurotransmitters. Now, beyond vitamins and minerals, we actually have our phytonutrients, which primarily we can look at them as antioxidants. Antioxidants help us to reduce inflammation, reduce disease risk, and as they do that, they can actually improve our mental health. So looking to brightly colored foods and eating the rainbow can actually very much impact our mental health. Now, fiber, we get that from our whole grains, our roughage, our vegetables. That actually works in a way of supporting our gut health, which we're going to talk about next. But it's very important because our gut health is very much tied to our mental health. And then also in line with our fatty acids, omega-3s. Omega-3s are so important for neurological brain health. They actually positively impact every aspect of our health. And if we're struggling with mental health, increasing omega-3s in our diet is absolutely essential. We can do that easily through fatty fish, things like walnuts and chia seeds, or a supplement if you're not a big fish fan. There are more than that, but those are the ones that you can take action on, easily focus on within the diet, and to see big rewards. Now, I mentioned fiber linked with gut health. And last month, we talked about what's your gut got to do with it. And as we talked about, gut health really is connected with all aspects of health. You can actually watch that recording. It's available on YouTube, but for our community members, you can access it right there in the community. So your gut is so connected with your mental health. It's very much connected with our central nervous system, and which then directly impacts the brain. So when we look at our gut, we have that nervous system, but we also have our microbiome. Okay, our microbiome is the organisms that live within our intestine. Okay, trillions of microbial cells working and living symbiotically within our bodies. It is a health powerhouse in general, impacting almost every area of our health. But how does it impact our mental health? Okay. So did you know 70% of your serotonin is made within your gut? So if your gut health is impacted, think things like gas, bloat, irregular bowel movements, indigestion, heartburn, reflux, there's a good sign your gut health may need some support. And so when we're looking at our mental health, we can look to other areas of our health to see if we can indirectly support that health area. So supporting your gut health can actually improve your natural serotonin production, which can help you feel happy, relaxed, at ease. Beyond serotonin, and in particular with the function of our microbiome, we can have our healthy gut impact and improve our health by the way of the nervous system, okay? When we're in a calm, receiving state, our digestive system will work more effectively, but then also we can see that reflected in our brain health. Also, by having a healthy gut, we can regulate our immune system and help to control the immune system. And we do know that our immune system can impact inflammation and impact our brain health and therefore our mental health. Now, our healthy gut is also important for hormone balance. Did you know that how often you have a bowel movement actually impacts your hormone balance within your body, particularly for estrogen? And so oftentimes we don't see these impacts, but hormones are really impact, or they're like the lens that which we view the world. When they're balanced, we feel great. It's like rose-colored glasses. But if we're experiencing hormone imbalance, that can actually cast a gray shadow. We might feel just less bright and cheery through our day, especially if we think about our stress hormones. They can really cause us to feel low, to feel depressed. Now, particularly those bacteria, those yeast, the organisms that live within our gut, as they survive, as they help us with our digestion, they actually produce some of the serotonin. They produce GABA, which is a precursor to neurotransmitters that help us feel calm, that help us feel relaxed. And so we definitely want our gut bacteria to be producing that. And then they also, just in their natural process, also create B vitamins, think B12. And so important for energy, metabolism, carbohydrate utilization, and we want that healthy microbiome. So diversity is a very great way to support your healthy gut. But also you might think about feeding that gut with those healthy fibers, those healthy foods. So where can you start? And I talked fast today. Let's look here. All right, skipped a few slides. Okay, so we want to talk with what we can do daily in our healthy eating. It can seem like a very complex and complicated topic, mental health, but there are some very simple things that you can do daily to better your mental health, to better your energy, to reduce anxiety and even depression. Now, this is not to replace your medical advice, your medication, but can be a great way to holistically support your health overall. So firstly, we want to focus on the positive, okay? Oftentimes we can get caught up in saying, I got to cut out this, I got to cut out that, these are bad. And what that leaves us with are holes in our nutrition. So instead of focusing on cutting things out, primarily, we want to focus on the positive. So firstly, choose as much whole food, unprocessed food as possible. The closer to nature, the better it is primarily for our body. So again, think about brightly colored vegetables, think about quality proteins, meats, and then also healthy fats from a variety of sources, including things like fatty fish, olives, avocado, and many more. Those types of foods will fuel us properly through our day to give us a good blood sugar balance, to help reduce inflammation, and really even just help the mood in general. And like I said, focus on quality. Now, oftentimes, especially if we have weight goals or we want to change our body composition of some type, we can start focusing on quantity, calories. And this is, again, that restriction versus nourishment phase. focus on nourishing your body with quality foods. As we choose those foods, the quantity naturally balance itself because we will feel satisfied, we will crave less, and we will feel more energized. So aim for balance. What does that mean? It means choosing those foods that make you feel good and to eat to feel satisfied. When we eat a healthy, balanced meal, we should feel satisfied for 3 to 5 hours. If you are a grazer, you might want to consider increasing your protein and fat to feel more satisfied. Alternatively, if we find that we go all day without eating, we might want to choose to prioritize healthy eating throughout the day. Again, even if it's a simple packed lunch or something that we can grab, perfection is not necessary, but we don't want to go long hours without eating. In that case, we can drop into a low blood sugar state, which is very stressful and can actually increase anxiety and irritability. To support our gut health in particular, and therefore supporting our mental health, we also want to eat a variety of fermented foods. So this is, becoming more popular, but it is an ancient technique for us to preserve and improve the nutritional value of our food. And as I mentioned, you can find out more about that in our recording of what's your gut got to do with it. Fermented foods or drinks could be something like sauerkraut, yogurt, kefir, kombucha, and many more. Depending on your cultural background, you might have something that is more of a fit for you. And not really touched on today, but remember to hydrate, because even a 2% decrease in hydration can impact your cognitive performance and your mood. So if you're feeling tired, sip water throughout the day, and it can go a long way to improving your energy as well as helping your performance. Now, along with these healthy choices, we might also want to choose to reduce some foods that can actually impact our overall health, but also our mental health. So one of the biggest things that you can do, and really just mirroring choosing our whole unprocessed foods, is actually removing processed foods from your diet. Foods high in sugar or highly processed grains, again, have a giant impact on our blood sugar, which can impact our mental health. But they also have a negative impact on our gut health. When we eat these foods that are low in fiber and high in sugar, we actually can damage our microbiome, which can then impact our mental health by reducing those wonderful byproducts that the microbiome provides for us. We also want to stay away from additives like preservatives. They can definitely impact that microbiome, but have multiple impacts on our health, including we also might want to consider food coloring or dyes. Artificial substitutes is another area that, it's a very complex area, and we might have to do a talk just about that. But artificial sweeteners have come into popularity because they can go in the place of sugar. However, artificial sweeteners in particular do damage our microbiome. They actually can impact our metabolism as well and impact our hormones. So we're better off choosing natural sweeteners in moderation and in balance with fats and proteins. Moving on, one thing that we want to reduce is relying on stimulants or depressants. So if we're feeling low energy and reaching for things like caffeine, we may want to look at, am I, filling a gap where if I was eating better, I could have better energy? If I was eating better, maybe I could sleep better and I could have better energy and need this stimulant less. Okay. A little bit of coffee or caffeine is not a bad thing. Okay. I love my coffee too, but we don't want to rely on it in place of healthy eating or healthy lifestyle for good energy. Alternatively, are we looking to depressants? If we're feeling anxious or jittery or wired, are we looking to different depressants to help us feel calm? Are there things that we can do, like not getting low blood sugar, that can actually help to reduce how we feel anxious through the day? Now, again, anxiety, mental health is also a complex issue, and there are other mental and emotional factors that we can consider, but eating well is definitely something that can reduce our need for depressants or stimulants. And that plays into the skipping meals. So fuel your body for energy and it will thank you, and you will feel amazing when you eat well and focus on those very simple but doable steps within your nutrition. If you're wondering, this doesn't seem simple, you can connect one-to-one with me for nutritional therapy services, helping to adapt it to your individual needs, or consider joining our community where we provide resources, support in a more self-paced way for you to improve your health. And I want to encourage you, whether you are someone who has been trying to eat healthy for a while, or you're like, man, there's so much I could do. Start where you are. Little things can add up to big change, and you want to embrace progress because your wellness is not a destination. It is a journey, and what you do daily has a big impact. And with that, I wanted to invite you. Some of you are members from our community, and I thank you for coming out. And if you're catching the replay, I hope this adds value to your journey. But for those of you who are not members, I wanted to highlight our Next Level Wellness community. This is where we join together with like-minded individuals to take action, to find support for improving our wellness, like I said, in a more self-paced way. But monthly, we have topics such as this that help to guide us to take action to improve certain aspects of our health. There are live Q&As, monthly resources and recipe collections, as well as discounts on health products and supplements. There are monthly and yearly options, which you can join for less than $1 a day. At the end, Tara is going to post the link so that you can check out more and if you're interested in joining. All right, questions. So we're going to check the chat now. We want to be respectful of your time as we know this is your lunch hour. Okay, so do we have any questions at the moment? I love the chat. There's lots of engagement. Are there any questions regarding any of the areas that we chatted about? I love that you guys are including some kombucha, some sauerkraut. If you guys are in the local Saskatoon, Saskatchewan area, make sure you check out Naturally Amped. They're an amazing company providing high quality fermented foods. I like it, Charmaine. I love that you like the kombucha. Every little bit goes a long way. Oh, Tristina is someone who's tried the Naturally Amped products before. That's awesome. If you'd like to mute yourself, ask a question directly, that is also okay. And if not, if you guys are on your lunch break and you need to get going, I want to thank you for coming. At Nina Lane Wellness, we do provide one-to-one consulting services to create an individualized wellness plan for you. Or you can follow us on social media for just regular tips and tricks. Thank you so much. If this is your first time, I hope you found it valuable. If it was your many time, if you've been joined us before, I hope you found value today as well. And I appreciate your support and continued commitment to bettering your health. Tara, do we have any?
Do have a question from Charmaine. She's just wondering if all kombuchas are the same.
Great question, Charmaine. So no, actually. We have to be really careful, especially as products get more popular. Oftentimes we can find lower quality products coming out on the market. So what we want to look for and what we want to avoid we want to look for a raw kombucha, which we find in a refrigerator. That is a sign that the probiotic culture is still alive and active. Then that means that it'll add the actual organisms to our microbiome. Another thing that we want to look for in our kombucha is additives. So oftentimes you're going to find natural flavors, which are actually, they're made through organic chemistry, but may actually not contain any real food. They're just chemically created flavors that can enhance that flavor. So we want to find things with real food ingredients. Another thing that we want to avoid is we might find these kombuchas that are low sugar. And oftentimes they are sweetened with artificial sweeteners or natural alternatives like stevia. Now, in small amounts, those can be okay, but we do want to choose ones, again, with more unprocessed ingredients. You might find something like cane sugar or fruit juices. Now, sugar, is that a concern? We can, when we add those sugars to the kombucha culture, the bacteria and yeast actually feed off the sugars. So you may not have that many sugars within the actual product. And so we want to aim for about kombucha with per serving. We're getting 10 grams of or less of sugar per serving. And then that would be a nice, healthy individual kombucha serving. Does that answer your question? Awesome. Thank you, Charmaine. That was a great question. Other fermented foods like sauerkraut, kimchi, that sort of thing, we also want to find them raw and in the refrigerator. Other things, for example, like adding in leafy greens, fibrous vegetables, those can actually also help your microbiome and feed those probiotic foods or probiotics that you're adding in to your daily lifestyle as well. All right. Does anyone have a question within the mental health realm or any other nutrition question that you would like to ask at the moment?
Nina, you mentioned that the number of bowel movements per day could be affected by your hormone imbalance. Now, is that basically if you're having more than one movement per day, or if you're constipated? How exactly does that work?
Okay, perfect. I did gloss over that one. So your bowel frequency impacts particularly your estrogen balance. And so constantly your body is checking the levels of your hormones, and your liver actually takes out excess estrogen and packages it, and then it goes into your bile. When you eat, the bile is released into your food matter in the small intestine, and it is meant to travel through and then be excreted, mostly. Now, what happens if you're having bowel movements regularly, so daily, then you can have a natural progression of that. However, too quick of bowel movements, there's always some re-releasing. So you might not be getting the balance that way. But more importantly, when you're constipated, we actually have these bacteria that produce enzymes that release the estrogen back into the body. We won't go into detail with that today. But when you have sluggish bowel movements, you can actually be re-releasing the estrogen that was meant to go out of the body. So that can actually contribute to estrogen dominant type symptoms, particularly in women. Does that answer your question, Tristina?
Yep. Thanks, Nina.
Okay. Do we have a second question there?
Nope, that looks like that is it.
Awesome. Well, thank you everyone again for coming today. With that, we'll say goodbye and let you get back to your day. These are meant to be short and educational presentations. And so with that, have an amazing rest of your day. I look forward to connecting with you in whichever way we do. Best wishes.